Welcome to all the parents and students who have joined us today, and also welcome to the panelists. So, I'd be starting off. So, welcome to all the parents and the students of all those who have joined us today for this session. A panel discussion with EIE alumni on the wide spectrum of career choices in electronics and instrumentation engineering. Okay, so before I go into the discussion aspect, so let me introduce you to the panel of today. So we have Mr. Narahari Suman, who is a BTech pass out in 2004 with the from the branch of Electronics and Instrumentation. So he's currently pursuing his MTech from IIT Bombay in Control and Dynamics from the Department of Aerospace Engineering. So he has worked previously in HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, and as well as ASL DRDO, Advanced Systems Laboratory, from 2005 to till date. So he has joined as Scientist B, and right now he's in the grade of Scientist F. So his expertise includes mission design and configuration design related for all long-range missiles, mathematical modeling and trajectory simulation of aerospace vehicles, guidance and autopilot design for missiles. So he was awarded as a Lab Scientist of the Year award in 2013, and he was also part of the DRDO Group Award for Performance Excellence in 2011. And he is also a life member of Aeronautical Society of India. I welcome you, sir. Welcome, Mr. Suman.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, next on this panel, we have Mr. Balakrishna Nutakki. So he has done his BTech from EIE, VNR, Vignan Jyoti Institute of Engineering and Technology in the year 2005. So he has started his career as a field application engineer at Analogic Controls, and he has continued at Automotive Robotics as senior programmer and has handled team lead role in Common Services Group for Caterpillar. So he has started his own firm, Cybernetics, which presently deals with high product development experience, and they're also into simulators, instrumentation design, data acquisition, and analysis. So he has started a new company, Metrics Automations Private Limited, wherein they are designing and manufacturing instruments which are used by pharma verticals. So he has also started Instrutel in systems, the primary focus had been on IoT. So he has designed his team probably has designed 30 products in different verticals, and where 25 products are already being manufactured by more than four companies, and more than 20,000 instruments have been manufactured, which are designed and developed by his team and have catered to various companies in the last 4 years. So his areas of expertise include instrumentation design related to clean room instruments, process instruments, synchronized clocks, and similarly simulator controllers development, controller modules supporting up to 200 DGIOs and 550 analog IOs. And he's also into IoT remote monitoring and customized digital and analog designing. So vast amount of experience. Welcome, Mr. Balakrishna, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah,
Long introduction. Yeah, thank you.
yeah. So next we have in this panel Mr. Chandra Babu, who is also a BTech pass out from VNR Vignan Jyoti in the year 2009. So he has almost 11 years of experience in design, development, and deployment of automated test equipments catering to defense, aerospace, automobile engineering, and manufacturing industries. He has managed a software development team and helped devise the software development processes to address application development, deployment, quality, and support. He is involved in project management, system and software design. So his current company is Cox Analytical Systems, Sweden. So he is working as a test system architect, and he has a lot of experience in NI LabVIEW, Python, TestStanC, and he has worked with hardwares like Pixie System, DAC cards, RF signal generators, analyzer, power meters, and voltmeters. So his previous companies had been Schneider Electrical, SAB Aerospace, Captronic Systems, and Trident Tech Labs. His domain experience includes aerospace, automotive, research, defense, and manufacturing. Welcome, Mr. Chandrababu.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah. So next on this panel, we have Mr. Rajesh, who has done his BTech from the year 2013, EIE branch from VNR Vignan Jyoti Institute of Engineering and Technology. So he has worked for TCS as performance test engineer, and he is also the author of the GATE Aspirant, a comprehensive guide for the GATE examination. So he likes to help GATE aspirants to pursue their dream. and he also runs a not-for-profit blog space which is catering to 55,000 plus students. So he is an assistant manager in Indian Oil Corporation with domain expertise in control systems and field instrumentation, and is fluent to maintain and commission instrument systems for oil and gas sector using technologies of Yokogawa, Triconix, ABB, Rockwell, and Honeywell. So he has commissioned instrumentation systems for the hydrogen unit and also carried out major shutdown jobs of OPEX 2 core for two major units. So he has handled a team size of more than 100 plus, and he's also commissioned for instrumentation systems for a 200 crore capex project at Haldia refinery. I welcome you, sir, Mr. Rajesh.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the long introduction.
Next, we have Mr. Srinivasan, who is also an electronics and instrumentation pass out from 2012 batch. So he has done his master's in electrical and computer engineering from the University of North Carolina, and he has joined as a Samsung as an embedded engineer for a year, and later moved on to Peoria to work with Caterpillar for a year as a functional safety engineer. So finally, he's moved to ZF in 2016 as systems safety engineer, and is currently working on designing braking systems. So his role includes determining the failure modes, performing the hazard analysis with the braking system, interaction with sensors, actuators, software, and electronic teams who works on the design to lower the risk associated with possible hazards by taking appropriate actions to meet SL standards. So he's also developed a service manual and also explaining the cause of failure and repair action at his service center, and he has prepared sufficient evidence for passing OBD standards through Emissions Control Board. So interacts with the global teams to adapt designs and cross-functional solutions. Welcome you, sir, Mr. Srinivasan.
Madam, she is Mayuka Srinivasan.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So I just thought you. Okay, Mayuka. Welcome, Mayuka.
The Mayuka, you are on mute.
Hey, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah, welcome, Mayuka.
Hello, ma'am.
So next we have on this panel Jyoti Snigdha. So he's also done who has also done the BTech from Electronics and Instrumentation Engineering from VNR Vignan Jyoti Institute of Engineering and Technology from the year 2014. So they have done. She has done her masters in electrical engineering from Hostel Bremen, Germany, and she has joined after her masters Knox Technologies AG as electronic engineer and moved to GmbH as development engineer and currently working as software developer. So her role includes system requirements engineering for high voltage power distribution unit, test management of hardware components, as well as development of test concepts, test processes, and test planning in the area of battery management systems. So she's also involved in automation and programming of test cases, as well as test execution and result documentation, error analysis, and support in the development of error connections. So implementation of the application software by hardware related programming of complex customer relevant functions in accordance with the specification and in compliance with the programming guidelines. Thank you for joining us, Jyoti.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. A little bit of lengthy intro, but I do hope that your faculty will not allow me unless I give you the correct intro for you all, because they feel very proud of you for all your achievements and for the place where you are in right now. So I guess that's how I had to go with that. Thank you for joining, and I welcome head of the department, Ms. Dr. Manjula Sri ma'am, today. So ma'am, I would like to first initially welcome you on board this panel discussion, and as well as request you to give a brief perspective about your department, and then we'll move ahead with the panel. Ma'am, you're on mute.
Thank you, Kanti Sudha.
Yeah.
I will be giving insights on instrumentation engineering department, as well I'll be presenting the profile of the department, what has been done so far, and what are the prospectus for this branch, instrumentation branch. Okay, so actually, like to start with, when someone is thinking about electronics branch, the things that the branches that come to their mind are like ECE or EEE. But the another choice is EIE, Electronics and Instrumentation Engineering. about 60% to 66% of the syllabus is common for these three branches, EEE, ECE, and EIE. So we'll be calling all those as circuit branches. Okay, and when almost its instrumentation is a special branch, like it's a multidisciplinary branch. Every other branch requires instrumentation. Without instruments or sensors, nothing is there, right? So now, just like IT is required for the modern world, that's the domain which is required, information technology, right? So just like that, in the engineering domains, electronics or instrumentation, electronics and instrumentation is the essential requirement, the essential branch or essential domain, okay, for engineering. Without instrumentation, no engineering or no engineer will be working with. So that's my perspective. And now, what is that they are studying in brief is like, so almost every measurement like length, height, weight, all these are the common measurements which we come across in our real time life. What is that they need to learn is like every industry, or I'll give the example. So if you look at any industry, so they have to maintain different parameters like temperature, pressure, humidity, like in the environment or inside certain chambers, process chambers. Okay. So in order to maintain those parameters, obviously they require instrumentation, I mean monitoring, measurement, and as well controlling of those parameters. So all the protocols which will provide all this information can be provided by the instrumentation. And of course, not only the industry. See, look at our like the present day life. Everyone is like, oh, what is the blood saturation levels, oxygen saturation levels in the blood, right? Every measurement from the human body, everything like temperature, blood pressure, SpO2, sugar levels, glucose levels, everything is a measurement, and which requires monitoring and controlling, right? So that is where instrumentation has the significance. Okay, and not only this, everywhere in every application in our real-time life, we come across the instrumentation significance. So even if you look at the mobiles, what we use today, how many sensors may be there in your smart mobile? So all that comes under like the credit of an instrumentation engineer. Okay, so I would like to start my presentation about the department profile, and then the significance, then the achievements. Okay, so let me share the slides. So I welcome all the parents and the admission aspirants, in addition to all the guests on the dais or the meet. About the department, like the department has been established in the year 1999. Actually, when some admission aspirants come to the department, they say like, yeah, this is a new branch. Why to go for a new branch? We have all like well-known computer science or electronics and communications. Why do we go for a new branch? It's not a new branch. It has been established in 1999. And the 18th batch has been passed out. Yesterday, the results were out with colorful results, right? So imagine the faculty when they might have done their instrumentation engineering. Okay, it's that old. Of course, earlier the instrumentation requirement has been catered by ECE and EEE. When the significance as instrumentation has come, then the branch has been separated. Even in the institute of, at VNR VJIT also, we started like ECE and EAE together, together as a branch, single branch, and has been established as a separate branch in the year 1999. It has been established in 1999. Okay, with an intake of 60 initially, then the intake has been raised to 120 in the year 2011, and it has been accredited by NBA since 2008 every 3 years. and it has been NAC accredited at institute level since 2012, and 2 cycles are done. We are in the second cycle now, and we have established MTech in electronics and instrumentation in 2010, and the annual intake is 18. And this is the we are the first one to start PG in electronics and instrumentation altogether in AP and TS. And another special, another recognition is full-time PhD scholars. Since 2019, the department has full-time PhD scholars. We have UG, PG, and PhD students available in the department. And the strength for the department is the faculty expertise, the enriched curriculum, and the laboratories. Laboratories are almost like virtual industries. Whatever they do, usually whatever you study, you may not do when you are working in your industry or office or so. Mostly, it may not happen. But instrumentation engineer, the one who learns almost like he does all the experiments in the labs, which are almost like industries, virtual industries. And coming to the strength of the faculty, almost as on now, we are 27 in the strength for the 120 students of BTech and MTech students. And there are 3 professors in the department, 6 associate professors, 18 are assistant professors, and about 8 faculty members are PhDs with PhD, and 2 are in the verge of submitting a PhD, and who are pursuing PhD are 19, almost everyone else is pursuing. 4 of our faculty are guiding about 7 research scholars in the department. Few of them are faculty members, few are full-time scholars. All 3 faculty members are deputed for PhD under quality improvement program, and we have 6 supporting faculty in the department. And coming to the experience and expertise of the faculty members, we have in the range of 16 years to 20 and 21 years. There are 10 faculty members with that rich experience. And there are 7 faculty members with 10 to 15 years of teaching experience. And about 10 faculty members are with 4 to 9 years of experience. And the faculty have expertise in different domains. A few have in process control instrumentation, few in robotics and automation, Internet of Things, biomedical instrumentation, digital signal processing, image processing, embedded systems, nanotechnology, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, and design thinking. See, all these are new courses like Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, including the nanotechnology and design thinking. We call all these as emerging technologies, which are come as a new technologies, new learning, which like the previous generation of students have not studied. Coming to the infrastructure, we have well-structured, well-established infrastructure with 9 classrooms, 10 laboratories, 2 tutorial rooms, seminar hall, 1 department library in addition to the main library, which is common for all the students. 1 center for research, of course, it has been named as the Robotics Center for Excellence. About 12 faculty rooms and cabins, and these are a few photographs to show the infrastructure. And coming to the laboratories, I told this is the strength. Almost very few institutions have instrumentation engineering branch, and the labs that are to be established. Earlier in Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, instrumentation was in every engineering college, just like we have CSE and ECE in AP and Telangana states. But in AP and TS, we don't have those many instrumentation engineering branches. And almost to establish the lab, in order to bridge the gap between the industry, it is very much required to improve the industries and develop the industries in India. Right, instrumentation engineering is required. And of course, in order to like fill the gap between what the industry requires and what we have, how we can train the students. Almost like we have the companies who have provided the equipment, almost they have done research here and have developed the instruments, right, for establishing our labs. It has been done like that in the first year or first 4 years of establishment of the department. That has happened. And now we are almost like the laboratories reflect exactly the equipment, what is there, what is used in different industries for different applications. And we have in the curriculum, along with the electronics labs like sensors and measurements laboratory, electronic devices and circuits, Python programming, LabVIEW, MATLAB programming labs. We have linear devices and IC integrated circuits labs, industrial instrumentation lab, microprocessors and microcontrollers lab, even embedded systems lab, process control instrumentation lab, process control automation lab, which includes PLC, SCADA, and HMI, analytical instrumentation labs, virtual instrumentation lab, where the students will be learning the LabVIEW there, embedded systems and robotics Center of Excellence, which has been recently established 3 years ago. And these are all the few picks with the students in those labs and equipment. The curriculum is enriched. We have earlier, there is no choice for the students, only one course across the entire 4 years to choose as an optional subject. We have the new courses included like robotics and automation, Internet of Things, Python programming, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, 3D printing is also as an optional subject, blockchain technologies, data sciences. We have included in the curriculum as electives. There are two things like choice-based open electives, choice-based professional electives. So almost all the essential instrumentation has been provided as professional core subjects, and beyond the essentials of instrumentation, they are offered as professional electives. And there are different streams. Industrial instrumentation is there, robotics and automation is one stream, biomedical instrumentation is one, electronics and embedded systems as another stream. Like that, we have been included many subjects arranged as tracks in such a way that one student can get expertise in industrial instrumentation in 4 semesters exclusively if he is choosing those. Like that, we have arranged the electives in such a way. And similarly, open electives. Open elective is a totally diverse domain where they'll be studying one course per semester from 3rd year from either computer science, information technology, communications, electrical, civil, mechanical engineering, and entrepreneurship. So the credit choice-based open electives are included on these lines, and these 2 courses like choice-based open electives and professional electives, right from 3rd year first semester, that is 5th semester to 8th semester, they'll be studying 1 per each semester. And it's not only the classroom teaching and lab experiments that enrich the student knowledge. We do many activities for the career vision approach through project-based learning, certification courses, online courses, MOOCs beyond the curriculum, training programs to make them ready for the industry, to improve employability skills, industry internships, innovation contest, hardware hackathons, software hackathons, design competitions, entrepreneurship summits, technical symposia, and there are many professional societies. One among those is Instrument Society of India, and nowadays, the students are actively participating even in the IEEE and IETE student chapters also, along with ISY student chapter. Then these are to attract, to show industrial visit is another aspect where they can see, learn, get some ideas with instrumentation, what they are learning, whether it's matching with the industry or how best way they can improve the industry practices For that, we arrange industrial visits, and these are the few picks which we have been organized at Polman Industries, Coca-Cola Beverages Private Limited, Elico Limited, Signode India Limited, Ganapati Sugars, Navbharat Ferroalloys, Precision Components, Quality Photonics, ITC, Bolaram, Incois Hyderabad, Clonge Biotechnology, BHEL, and many more, which we could confine here. And we have collaborations with industry and academia, like in terms of the linkages or in terms of MOUs, where they'll be offering internship or projects, or they may be arranging guest lectures from the industry. They're also allowing us for an industrial visit to create awareness among the students about the industrial practices. So this is to bridge the gap between industry and institute. And we have MOUs with National Instruments, and we have National Instruments Academy, which is which can offer CLAD certification through a CLAD certified faculty. Will be offering a course, and will be through a test, he'll be assigned the certification. J Robotics is one, Soroco Soft. They are associated with instrumentation and electronic projects, and students are involved in the projects, as well as some engineering in mirror is a training which we organized for a weekdays. The student will be working in that industry. So that is training, which we have named as engineer in mirror. And Polman Industries, many have done project works there, internships. Internship is training during summer. Project work is a curriculum course. Elico Limited, Yokogawa India Limited, they offer certification courses to the students in automation. Siemens is another one where our students are certified, and a few of these are also the recruiters for our students. Projects and interns are also carried out at ECIL, BHEL, BDL, Sujana Universal, Aurobindo Pharma, and one student has been deputed to Egypt in Diameta for doing her summer intern for 2 months. Technotron is one, ZF. There are many students who have done internship, and that has been converted into a placement offer later. And the student, the faculty, or we have also collaboration with higher education, with academia, higher education institutions like BITS Pilani Hyderabad, NIT Warangal, Andhra University, JNTU Hyderabad, Kakinada, Usmania University, Anna University, NIT Patna, and many more. We have the BOS members who will be framing the syllabus and providing us good suggestions while framing the syllabus for the course curriculum, or from BITS Pilani, NIT Warangal, JNTU Hyderabad are there, in addition to the industry people and few faculty from the department. And few faculty are pursuing their PhDs at NIT Warangal, even BITS, Andhra University are there, Hyderabad, JNTU, few are pursuing their PhD, like that. And we also do some faculty development programs in collaboration with NIT Patna, NIT Warangal. So these are all the collaborations with industry and academia at the department. And the research profile is upcoming with the department. In past 5 years, about 230 publications are there, with 600 citations altogether. And the faculty of the department have filed 4 patents, and we have 8 funding projects or other grants worth a total of 32.9 lakhs. And these are the few picks which while participating in the research activities. And I have also shown the patents, the 4 patents, and the projects, funding projects, and other grants like seminar and STTP grants, which have been grabbed by the faculty in the department. And coming to the students' achievement, of course, strictly speaking, a single slide is not sufficient, and even I could not list all, it's not sufficient. Somewhere we have to confine. The first thing I feel proud is like we had like the GATE scores over past 10 years, like the best scores as 4, 8, 25. I just listed here only the scores, GATE ranks below 100, and few are there even within 200, within 500, like that. Okay, so I really feel proud. A national ranking, all India rank of 4, 8, 25, 28 in different years. Okay, and the students, the recently passed out students, 2021 batch students have grabbed 1 lakh cash prize in a project for their project in a competition. Every year, a gold medal and cash prize are assigned to the best performing student of electronics and instrumentation engineering by ISOI Hyderabad chapter. So almost like from 2006 onwards, it has been initiated in 2006. And except for 2-3 years, we have, it's the Department of EIE, VNR VJIT grabbed those medals. 9 medals have been bagged by our students. And similarly, like Campus Sports Star by Economic Times in 2020, the Tigrade Boot Camp in 2020, and also in 2019 JHub Hackathon. Even in 2016, our students have grabbed the prize for their projects. Even few students, like Student of Talent and Excellence by ISD has been grabbed by Raman Tej, 2016, who is also like another entrepreneur from the department. So these are a few pics I would like to share here. Like this, if I go like, it's a very long list. I stop here, and these are the other achievements in the extracurricular activities. The students participate in sports and cultural activities also. So they won prizes. Almost like to say wherever they go, they get a medal or they bring a cup. Then coming to the placements, like most of the parents are looking at what is the placement record. It's really increasing year to year. I think initially 2000 up to 2009, 2008 it was slow, but from the batch of Chandrababu here 2009, it has been drastically started increasing. And I have shown here the statistics from the past 3 years, 2015-90 batch, 16-20, and 17-21 is the most recently passed batch. So the offers in terms of the numbers are 88 in 2015-19 batch, that is in 2019. 104 offers in 2020 last year. And this year it is still ongoing, in progress, 105 offers so far. And it will continue for another 6 months. And coming to the eligibility, the number eligible out of 120, 82 are eligible. Like first class, 60% marks are mandatory for appearing for the placement. So out of the eligible students in 2019, 66 are placed, 75 are placed, whereas in 17-21, 66 are placed. This is the number of students where they have number of offers. And in terms of the percentage, at the end of, before the, 2021 batch started, 2020 batch ended at 88%. So 88% of the students have been placed. Whereas the 78% still ongoing. And for all these, like where all these students have been recruited are like Wipro, Amazon, JP Morgan, Cognizant, Byju's, Neudesic, DXC Technologies, Merlitix is one, ZF, Capgemini, TCS, Capgemini, LTI. They grab our students. So, like good number are placed there. Meda Servo Meda, Uber also recruited few, Adobe, ZF, Spinco Biotechnology, which are few core industries who have recruited our students. And what efforts has been provided to the what effort has been put by the students is through the trainings provided by the department in C, data structures, Python and SQL, robotics, AI, ML and data science, aptitude skills, logical thinking, verbal ability, group discussions and mock interviews. So all these are part of the training, out of which they'll be acquiring the knowledge and grabbing their positions. So coming to the last year's profile, this is the placement profile in 2020-21, the most recent batch. Likita Reddy has bagged Amazon as a quality assurance engineer in Amazon with a package of 20 lakhs per year. Manashwini has grabbed like 14 lakhs per year package, JP Morgan. And Yashwant has been placed at a software engineer at LTI, L&T Infotech. Okay, like a few we have listed here. And coming to the offers, like what are those 105 offers is 33 students have single offers, 21 students have double offers, and 10 students have triple offers. And the recruitment is like TCS has recruited 21, Cognizant 19, L&T Infotech 13, Capgemini 10, HCL 7, Deloitte 3, and all these like ADP, Gain, Site, DigiDex, DXC, RAM Group, Unschool, Wipro, Mindtree, etc., 32 members have been placed. And last week or last fortnight, we had the first grand opening for the 2022 batch at JP Morgan with a 14 lakh package. So she will be into the internship during her final year second semester, and then she'll be, it's a pre-placement offer, so obviously will be converted into a placement. So this is about the most recent batch, and the one last I've shown is for the third year.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for that long, presentation about your department. It really shows your passion towards the department also, related to all the statistics what you have showed. And I do hope that parents will be able to get an insight into what is happening actually in the department. So now I would like to move with the panel who have joined us today for this session. So first I would like to invite Mr. Suman, who is working as scientist F in ASL DRDO. And I would like to know his, his experience in his current job and how it is relevant to EIE, whatever he has done in his BTech. Over to you, Suman, sir.
Thank you, Sudha ma'am. Respected Manjulashri ma'am, Professor Hari Krishna sir, my namaste and pranam to you. Thank you for giving the opportunity to be in the LI panel on the career prospects on electronics instrumentation. When I joined, mine was the second batch, and in that time there were no textbooks in the market. Leave of the online material during a year time. Really, our professors worked a lot. In fact, some of the professors, Manjulashri ma'am and Hari Krishna sir, used to bring the material from BHL manual, like that they used to get. We don't have any textbooks, and even the textbooks that are available were not available in the market, whatever is in our thing. So with the same zeal, I could complete my BTech. And quoting, I'm an electronics engineer, I got into Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. And whenever an instrumentation option was there, I was choosing instrumentation option, and I got into this National Aerospace Laboratory, and I got also selected in DRDO as a scientist, and I've chosen DRDO. And well, to the question what madam asked, well, I'm working in a missile which is of strategic importance. I'm a mission designer and also performs mathematical modeling and trajectory simulation for missiles. I'm also involved in missile guidance design and autopilot design also. One thing I can tell, without the background of EIE, I would have definitely struggled in my work. Most of the subjects, especially even including engineering mathematics, control system, industrial process control, numerical methods that were taught paid a very good foundation for my nature of work. And mind you, all students, engineering mathematics is also very essential, and it also plays a very strong foundation concepts in most of the engineering. Honestly speaking, 90% of the curriculum which has been taught, which was useful at some point of time in my 16 years of service. And coming to my nature of work, I'm sorry I'm unable to elaborate talking more on my work because of strategic importance. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Glad that you have told us that your EIE has helped you in your through your job. And next, I would like to invite Mr. Balakrishna, who is an entrepreneur. So, how has been your journey, sir? You have started many companies like Cybernetics, Metrics Automations, Instrumental Systems. So, everything I can see from the name itself that it is related to your EIE, Electronics and Instrumentation. So, how do you give us the relevance, especially in this context?
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I'm glad that the instrumentation department has come so far. I'm good to see so many collaborations with so many industries and so many placements offers for our AI candidates. Actually, for us, instrumentation is the mainstay. Like we design instruments, we speak instrumentation, we do instrumentation, and we eat instrument. It's a kind of a synonym for us. It's kind of a day-to-day life for me in the instrumentation domain. So we design products which are relevant for pharma industries, in defense and marine. So we have designed more than 30 instruments. So my journey, like it's very exciting to see when your own product comes into used means comes into production and used by so many companies across India and across the world. That's very fascinating journey which I have gone through and which I'm going through right now. So hoping for more excitement, more products from our company, and relevance of instrumentation curriculum. um, I can say that most of the subjects which I learned, all the subjects I have to go through once again after my engineering. Almost all every subject I learn in engineering again I have to go through because it's very important. Instrumentation is very important for any industry. When we come to the basics of instrumentation, like what is instrumentation, there is a wrong perception of instrumentation. Like there is so much confusion between instrumentation and tools. Everybody thinks that the instrumentation is a tool, but when we come to the basics of instrumentation, it's a science of measurement and control. So we wake up using seeing time is a kind of instrument. We can get in the car where a lot of instruments are used into the in the car. So there are lot of applications, lot of excitement going on in the market. Yeah, we have to observe around what is the instrumentation and get the basics right. Means get the perception right about the instrumentation. Right.
Yeah. Uh, Thank you, Mr. Balakrishna. Thank you for elaborating on that. So next we have Mr. Chandrababu. Sir, can you also emphasize your relevance to the EIE and the current job what you are doing?
Yeah, thank you all, and greetings from Sweden. I'm 2009 passed out from Vienna VJIT. When I was like choosing the branch, uh, I have not very good information on the branch, but one thing was clear: the infrastructure and faculty is very good in Vienna VJT. So that's the only reason I took the course. And the 4 years were very interesting for me to study. Especially, I need to talk about the laboratories, virtual instrumentation laboratory. It's like one of the advanced laboratory, and now also I'm working on the same technology. So this implies how earlier stage Vienna VJT introduces advanced lab during BTech level. So I'm very happy for that. And yeah, now currently I'm working as a test system architect at Cox Analytical Systems. So my role is to develop automated test equipment software for testing different products. Now I'm currently testing like sedimentary cores and rock cores. And earlier I have worked companies like Schneider Electric, then Capronic Systems, and Trident Tech Labs. So I was working in various domains like electrical, defense, research, aerospace. So for this kind of role, one needs to know about measuring parameters, different parameters like voltage, pressure, flow. So these things were very well I understood during my engineering course, and this helped me and helping me now also in my career. And then, as I said, LabVIEW software still I'm working on is part of my project, final year project. So I did my project on LabVIEW, and after that I got the job on the same field, and still I'm working on the same technology. And thanks for all the faculty members and college for providing me a good platform.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chandrababu, for emphasizing on that lab aspects and how you have your curriculum or your college or your branch has helped you in your career. Next, I would like to hear out from Mr. Rajesh, who is working in IOCL. And also, I can see from his profile that he has worked on various kinds of instruments and all these things. So, how do you bring your relevance here for the EI, sir? Mr.
Thank you,
Rajesh?
ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Like Manjula ma'am has rightly said that instrumentation is really diverse and very much necessary or important. And she has rightly pointed out that 60% of the curriculum is common to ECE or EEE or instrumentation. I'd like to say, from my perspective as an automation engineer, so what happens in an industry is that we use number of instruments. So the analytical instrumentation course, or say the EDC, the digital electronics, and like Narahari sir said, I have been using the various subjects over and over again and again throughout the 16 years of experience. It's very well. I highly appreciate what he said, because that is true for us as well. As an automation engineer, I get to use digital electronics say for one day, and I have to say think of control systems some other day. We, as an automation engineer, I am also responsible for the network architecture that's built from field instrumentation up to the control systems. So I have worked with say different kinds of sensors that we have read in electronics and instrumentation engineering, and so these could be as simple as pressure indicator, temperature indicator, or could be as complex as a vibration measurement device. Okay. So there are already said by one of the panelists that in today's era, measuring the blood pressure or say sugar or anything for the process industry as well, we have to measure various kind of process parameters. So that's very important in process industry's perspective. So I would say that electronics and instrumentation engineer would have that kind of background to be able to work with these process industries. And I cannot imagine any process industry without instrumentation expertise. So it's like a backbone of today's era, and automation and the future, say machine learning or artificial intelligence. When these two mix, I mean, which is happening right now, it's revolutionary, and that's what is happening right now. And I'm glad that I'm from instrumentation background, electronics and instrumentation, because that's going to be revolutionary in not so long time, maybe in 5 or 6 years, things would drastically change. So that's from my end now.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Rajesh. It's quite apt of you to bring in the sensors, automation, as you're telling. And right now, whatever we see around us is also based on those things. Thank you for emphasizing on that aspect. Next, I would like to hear from Mayuka. Mayuka, please tell me how your EIE has played a role for you landing up in a job like systems safety engineer at ZF Breaking.
Sure, ma'am. Once again, thank you for the opportunity so I can share my experiences. Before I start off with where EIE has been helping me or how EIE has helped me with the current role and my day-to-day work life, not many people know that as an EIE engineer, you can still be a part of the automotive industry. You don't have to do automotive engineering to be a part of the automotive industry. So as of today, I am working in designing and development of brakes for vehicles like Isuzu, electric Hummers, and for Cadillac XT6s. We've been working, collaborating with Germany in building braking systems for BMW at ZF. So in order to do that, in my current role, what I currently do is determine the hazards when you're connecting systems. So this is where EIE started playing a role for me, is because of the background knowledge that I gained from connecting sensors or learning about sensors on how they can connect with processors and how we read the outputs, how you look at the outputs, and what kind of failures mechanisms can occur in each of these individual components, and determining the risk levels and designing the appropriate safety mechanisms in order for a driver to be safe. So all of this has a very every bit and part of what I do. The subjects that I've learned at EIE, be it sensors and actuators, be it DSP control, digital signal processing, be it control systems, all of this has played a role in setting the foundation and basics of what I do today. So and how I landed here is of course based on my experience with at Caterpillar and at Samsung, where I was doing nothing of this sort, where handling sensors and electronics, but I was doing more of coding, which again came with my basics. I didn't learn anything more. Basics from engineering was good enough for me to work at Samsung.
Yeah.
So it set the foundation to just add on to the building blocks.
Yeah, thank you, Maika. Thank you on that aspect. I think you have given a very good visualization of what EI is all about and how it is relevant to your job. Next, I would like to hear from Snigdha also, being a development engineer. Snigdha, what is your role in your present job, and how can you bring a concurrence between your EI branch and your present job?
First of all, thank you so much for this invitation. I'm really glad to talk here. When compared to everyone on this panel, uh, I'm new to this field, but still, EIE has helped me a lot. Right from after completing my bachelor's, I had confidence to pursue more detail in instrumentation. That is why I looked for courses which offered for masters in Germany, and so I did my masters in measurements and instrumentation. And during my masters, I did my thesis. Where I had to construct a calibration unit for an interferometer. All these things I have learned from the curriculum itself, and this curriculum enabled me to pursue masters, and also it helped me in my master thesis. And as soon as I finished my masters, I was working as a development engineer for a product-based company which produced the RFID readers, and there I was working as a firmware developer for RFID readers. Even a small RFID reader has so many sensors. You could take Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. All these sensors are embedded into a RFID reader, and all these concepts I again connect back to the curriculum that I've learned during my bachelor's. So as my seniors explained, EIE definitely has given me a building block throughout my career till now, and also the confidence. When compared, you could say we learned this in ECE also. Being an embedded engineer, you could also come from ECE, but I do see myself having the advantage over people coming from ECE, because I've learned so much deeper from the sensors and data acquisition, or you could say signal processing or calibration. All these techniques are something that we learn from EIE. So definitely, I'm proud to say that I took up EIE as my mainstream in my bachelor's, and I'll be forever grateful for this.
Yeah. Thank you, Snigdha. Saurabh has rightly pointed out. So EC don't do what EIE does with the instruments, as you're telling. So definitely, because I do belong from EC background, I can understand what you say. Next, I would like to hear from Suman sir. Sir, what is the role of electronics and instrumentation, especially coming to the jobs in the defense sectors or ISRO or any of these labs which are carrying out a lot of work related to process and instrumentation. So how do you see the significance of EIE there?
Yes, ma'am. Really, electronics and instrumentation engineering is a omnipresent field of engineering, I can say, ma'am. For example, if you go to aviation industry, in the name of avionics, navigation, guidance, control, there is without which there is no aircraft, there is no rocket, no launch vehicle, no UAV, no satellite. So control systems and sensors plays a pivotal role over there. And coming to future war also, one can imagine the power of UAV in the recent Afghan war. See, a person sitting at 10,000 miles away and he is hitting at the targets like in a video game or in a Bond movie. That's happening. And other things like, for example, even a small that is called unmanned combat air vehicle. And coming to the level of miniaturization, the size will be this much, and helicopter will be flying, and it can go into the enemy territory. In 2 grams, we had to make an onboard processor. In that onboard processor, INS, OBC, and even interface units, sensor, transmitter, receiver, and apart from that, payload. With all these things in 2-3 grams, that's a level of miniaturization. And apart from miniaturization, MEMS has to be implemented over there, not just the electronics. So electromechanical actuators should be put in that one. And other things, see, for example, one more war example I will give you. Why? Because I'm from defense industry. Recent war, if you would have heard of it, between Israel and Palestine, nearly you would have heard of this Iron Dome during the news. Really, nearly 15,000 rockets were thrown onto the Israel. Not even single casualty. All were neutralized. Definitely one can imagine the role of sensor and control system in such a scenario. And these are only going to dictate the future lifestyle also. In a simple language, a normal rocket can be converted to a launch vehicle, either PSLV or GSLV or a missile or a UAV, with the help of sensors and instrumentation only. Otherwise, is a dummy rocket, which is a Tipu Sultan or Babar time rocket only. Sensor, control, automation is definitely an omnipresent field wherein one can flourish in this field of his choice. See, one more statement I want to make. Electronics instrumentation, we can become a king of all and jack of all. This is the only field. See, tomorrow if I want to go to the health sector, I can go into the health sector. See, there also, see, for example, now anesthesia is given by a doctor. That can be totally automated. Now, so much research, SEDASIS system in Germany, they have made. Totally anesthesia will be done an automated system. These all the things, sensor, control, instrumentation, these all the things can be done only by electronics instrumentation generally. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you have given a very interesting perspective related to electronics and instrumentation, sir. So next, I would like to ask Mr. Balakrishna. So what do you think are the modern day technologies which are applicable and relevant to EI branch?
Yeah, actually, Suman Anna gave more complex applications in instrumentation, but I'll be giving some common man examples in instrumentation line. Like if you see like wearables nowadays, wearables and watches, there are smart sensors here where you can predict you can predict heart attacks. Those are simple. Those are nothing but sensors which are embedded into the small watch. So and one more thing is biomedical is growing day by day. It's a huge applications like where a person can test his sugar levels, oxygen levels, and any all his body parameters by using a small watches type or wearables type. And let's see in our common day where instrumentation is vastly used. Like I said before, getting up, seeing an instrument like time, get into the car. There are so many hundreds of instruments, like from safety. There are so many automotive engineers here, so that they can explain us better. And when you enter into a building, like a huge building, there are so many building management systems, sensors, environmental sensors, temperature sensors, humidity sensors, controls, where Honeywell is exploring, doing a good business is building management systems in elevators, so many. So in automobile safety, so nowadays safety systems safety is more evident in any process in the industry, and in automobiles where a lot of sensors in the self-driving cars. So in day-to-day life there are so many applications of instrumentation when we see around, and we analyze now using IoT in IoT has becoming boom. where every physical parameter is converted is digitized. So how they are doing? They are using a simple sensors like temperature, humidity. From there to connecting the cloud, your transmission of data. So there are so many applications where instrumentation used, but yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Balakrishna. Sir, next I would like to go to Mr. Chandrababu. Sir, can you tell me what is the role of EI in the current general industry structure? So, what do you see the role of? How do you see the role of EI?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Yeah. Like, all like this 11 years, I was working as a test engineer, and now, like, currently I'm working as test system architect. So I would like to share the general industry structure. Say, if you take any product development and production company, so first will be like, coming up with a new idea, like making a new product, and then we go to the design phase, and then we go to creating a prototype. So here, when company doing like made a prototype, here EIE engineers involved for testing that prototype. And after this, we like company go with final product creation, and then the main core work for EIE engineers come, that is like test and validation of the product. So once this is done, the product will be into the market. Say I take an example for this process, so it will be clear for understanding purpose. Let us say a mobile phone. Someone wants to make a new model mobile phone. So then this is like idea, and then comes designing aspects. So the company wants to make like high quality image phone, or introduce some new communication setup in that mobile phone. Here many group people involves, like electronics, communication, mechanical, and it depends on the product. And then creating a prototype, here also many other department people involves, like ECE, mechanical, all those. But for testing the product, we need electronics and instrumentation engineer. And then comes designing the final product. And then the main core work of the like EIE engineer is testing mobile phone. So we need to test lot of functional features of the mobile phone, whether the touch screen is working properly or not, communication is working properly or not, and so on. So here EIE engineer should have knowledge measuring different parameters. Depends on the different products. Like, if you take mobile, then we need information like voltage, power, so on. If you take like some biomedical product, then we need information of ECG, EEG, and so on. And then, the product will be released to the market. And I could say, like, test department plays a crucial role in any company. So if testing is not done, then it will be like much losses for the revenue of the company. We hear a lot of news, like automobile companies recalling the cars for seat belts which are not proper, or there is some malfunctioning in the engine, or so on. This is because like testing is not done properly at the industry level. So I could say testing the product is a very crucial role in any product company. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So anyway, since you mentioned the automobile industry, so let me come back to Mayuka. So Mayuka, can you emphasize on what is the scope of work that is there in the automobile industry, since you're working in one of them? So I would like to know from you.
Sure, ma'am. Yeah. So, like Suman sir mentioned, as an EIE engineer, we become jack of all trades. I wouldn't say master of none, because we do have the exposure to not only electrical components, electronic circuitry, and to be it from sensors or from coding. As we gather that background, it just increases our scope in not only for that matter as an automotive industry, but in any manufacturing, automation, or power industry for that matter.
Yeah.
So we touch base with pretty much every aspect that I don't think any other branch will touch base on. Because being an EIE engineer, the field of stream that I have chosen is automobile, after switching from an electronic background from Samsung, who builds iPads, watches, and television sets. So from there, I switched to an automotive industry. Itself is an example to show the broad stream of fields that we can switch into and the opportunities that we can build with. As an EIE engineer in the automotive field, I am currently just in braking. So I'm only in one zone. You have so many other aspects: transmissions, steering, body control. In terms of connectivity of the sensors, where we're automating the vehicles like Teslas and any of the EV vehicles. We have electric batteries that are coming in. We are automating inch, bit, and everything of the vehicle, where a person has to be made lazy not to touch even a steering wheel to get to work. I don't know where that is going to lead to, but it just increases our scope, right? So, and all that background is coming from EIE, because the reason I say that is because as an electrical engineer, they're focusing more on the electrical components in terms of microprocessors or chips alone, right? Coming out of EC or coming out of EEE, where they're talking about power electronics, where they're touching base on voltages and controls. And CSC, they're talking about just coding. I don't think I would know any computer science engineer who would be able to build a Fitbit or a Roomba, the iRobot, which will sit down and clean the house. That definitely is coming from an EIE engineer.
Yeah.
So as a collaborative effort, of course, I'm not just saying we are the only ones doing it, but we have the capability to build one on our own.
Yeah, Mike. Well said. So since you have talked about automation, so let me get back to Balakrishna sir, whose Instrutel, his company is working with a focus on IoT. So can you tell us how is this IoT and EIE? How are they connected actually?
IoT and EI, IoT is a part, EI is a part of IoE. Like when you say IoT, it's Internet of Things. Things cannot speak by themselves, right? They cannot communicate by themselves. So what we have to do, we have to connect the sensors, we have to do the proper signal conditioning, and we have to transmit the data. So this is the classical example of applications of EI in IoT. Like computer science people has hijacked this principle of IoT, IoT. But yes, it's a multidiscipline segment where every domain has its own significance, like instrumentation, communications, and as well as computer science. As an instrumentation, I don't have any background of computer science. I don't know about anything about database, but an instrumentation person can learn computer science or software kind of a thing, where we are building systems, and we can means having knowledge of instrumentation definitely helps, because as an entrepreneur, I can see so many software companies coming to us asking for the IoT device, because after getting the data, we can do anything with the data as such. But giving the right data is very important. As Rajesh pointed out before, for example, if we take the rotating equipment, where we need to keep the vibration sensor and measure the performance of the rotating machine, this is a very, very complex subject. Like we have to select the right sensor and do the Fourier transform analysis and transmit the data. Almost all subjects of the AI we touched upon.
Yeah.
I can say that. And it's a very complex subject, and also a very interesting subject, where you can we'll let the machines speak by themselves, using the right sensors, using the right control systems. This is the significance of AI in IoT.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Balakrishna. So next, I would like to go back to Chandrababu sir. Sir, since we are hearing a lot of AI and ML, artificial intelligence and machine learning, right now it's a boom word everywhere. So can you tell me what is this connectivity between EIE and AI and ML, and how do you think the students can excel in this section?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Like I would, first talk about a little bit on virtual instrumentation, and then I will go ahead with artificial intelligence. Like virtual instrumentation is like concept. Software is replacing many hardware parts. Like in the traditional instrument, we have systems like ROM, RAM, monitor, and then some processing. So if you need to measure, say, like voltage and strain, we need two different instruments. But whereas in virtual instrument, we can take only data acquisition card and then take like leverage PC functionality and use some softwares, automation softwares, capture the signal from data acquisition card and process it in the PC with some software. So this is the virtual instrumentation concept. And AI, coming to AI part, it's like, in simple terms, AI replaces the human being while taking decisions based on the logics, rules, and some, decision trees. And deep learning and machine learning is part of AI. Is like subset of AI. So I would like to take an example like autonomous driving cars. Now a very interesting and booming thing in the automotive market. So there we need data from the sensors like images, air velocity, like oil flow, and so on. Many like physical parameters we need to take. So here comes instrumentation role, which acquires the data and get it into the cloud or some processor, and then AI comes into the picture, which takes the logical decisions based on the training model training part. Like if some truck is slowing down before the car, then the car needs to get slowed down. If there is some object before, then the car needs to stop. So it's taking logical decisions. So the advantages is like it reduces the human errors, and it performs the task where human beings cannot go, like mass machine. There is a lot of AI involved in this mass machine, so which takes logical decisions on its own. Yeah. In my current role also, I'm working on virtual instrumentation and artificial intelligence. So I would say these two fields are like evergreen and will continue for a long time.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chandrababu, for emphasizing on that aspect of AI and virtual instrumentation also. Next, I would like to ask Snigdha. Snigdha, you have done your MS from Germany. So we would like to know from you. So what are the prospects of studying in Germany, and what made you take a decision to do your MS in Germany?
Yeah, so decision to come to Germany was simple. When you hear about Germany, it's about automation and a lot of instrumentation. I've seen many lab equipments that were in our lab, which were made in Germany. So that was my key reason why I chose to come here. And to come to the facts, Germany is like home for three OEMs like BMW, Volkswagen, and Daimler in the automotive field. And the prospects, like you asked, we are seeing world going with a rapid speed right now, be it in the field of artificial intelligence, like others mentioned, and also clean energy, and many car industries are transitioning themselves into batteries and electric vehicles, that I mean. And so there are a lot of opportunities for engineers to grab in such fields. So my focus was always to come into such a field where you can evolve as the world changes. And as a electronics and instrumentation engineer, that really helped me to evolve because I started off with RFID firmware developer, and now I'm working as a embedded software developer in an automotive industry itself. We are dealing with power distribution units which are set up in cars and heavy vehicles like trucks, agricultural vehicles, and um, even buses. So I would say um, if a student aims to come to Germany, he or she has lot of opportunities to choose from. Even if he's not having any idea right after bachelor's, he can still evolve and adopt himself to choose the field right after their master's. Or even right now the market is so good that you can also come here as a job seekers and grab a job in this industry. So it's times are good for engineers, electronics engineers and instrumentation engineers right now. That's
Yeah.
why Germany. Yeah.
Thank you, Signa. So you have told us about Germany and also the job prospects related to there also. Thank you for that. Next, I would like to go to Rajesh, sir, who is working in PSU also. Sir, how to get into a PSU? How to get into a PSU? Being an electronics and instrumentation engineer, and how do you? Since you have also an author of a book. For GATE aspirants. So I would like to hear it from you, sir.
So my journey, I fell in love with instrumentation engineering, like everybody else on the panel. So while I was pursuing electronics and instrumentation, I really got fond of the subjects. So that's where I felt, you know, the need or want to pursue career in instrumentation engineering. So, like everybody, any student, I had the opportunity either to go for MS or MTech. Right, if I want to further aspire into my branch. So GATE, like MTech or MS for higher education. Otherwise, through GATE, we also have the opportunities of PSUs. Some PSUs do have their own examinations, while most of the PSUs conduct GATE as a medium for recruiting. There are about 30 PSUs. Usually about 100, 200 opportunities every year, easily. So back in 2016, when I gave GATE, so I gave a full-fledged shot that I need to crack this, and I wanted to get into PSU. So that's how I got into at least 7 PSUs, but then I chose IOCL, considering the closest in knowing that I'll be working on the automation like I have always wanted. So either I could have gone to do MTech and then work in a similar fields as some of our seniors are doing, or I could have gotten into PSU directly. So that's my journey of getting into PSU. So instrumentation, EIE people have this advantage over other branches, and it is statistically correct that an instrumentation engineer can get into MTech colleges in IITs or at PSUs rather very easily than other branches. So this can be easily dig down. So that's how GATE aspirants also born, the book which I wrote, because there are serious misconceptions around it, and I made things clear so that everybody can get to know what's happening behind the GATE or MTech in India. So that's how the book came into existence.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for giving us an insight into that particular aspect. Next, I would like to go to Mayuka. So, Mayuka, You have done your MS over in US, and also you have landed up in a job in ZF. So I would like to know what was your decision driving factor to go for MS, and also how to get a job in ZF.
So, um, so how did I end up going to the US or coming into the US now that I'm here? So, it was two things, right? One, I did get placed in at TCS during the placements at college. My only fear was I might get sucked into coding if I enter TCS, which is again a misconception. But at the time, that's the exposure we have with saying, hey, that's TCS. Pretty much everyone from college was getting placed there, and there's nothing wrong with it. I have known friends who've worked at TCS, and it has been an advantage for them to pursue further based on the experience. But it was my personal choice, I think, at the time to say I want to study further and also gather the experience and exposure of living in another country and exploring the opportunities outside of India was one of the reasons that drove me to write my GRE and pursue masters. In the due course, of course, I could have switched branches and gone into different field, but with the scope that we have, with the subjects that we have in instrumentation, it's easier to get into electrical and computer science engineering, which is just a generic branch even in the US is, but they have pretty much every branch, every stream, and we can master ourselves based on subjects like power electronics. We have the opportunity to choose power electronics, sensors and actuators, robotics, or robotics and embedded. And of course, we also have, I think we did have networks, like the regular connectivity networks for telephones and for, what's that called? I don't remember. But anyway, so we do have choices where we can pick and choose from. And amongst that, I chose robotics. And the base core of it was based off of my BTech project or the final year project. I don't know how many faculty members remember it, but it was more about tire pressure management system back then. And that helped me with getting in with a professor here who works in robotics, where we did path planning and line follower bots and quadcopters at the time. So where I was given an opportunity to write papers. So it did increase the scope, and the basics of it is what landed me as a due course landed me at ZF, because each project was a building block towards the industry. And if somebody has to get into ZF, they don't have to follow the same path I did. It's as simple as just get your basics. So having basics itself will land us with good opportunities. So it's more important about understanding and utilizing the facilities that we get at BTech in order to land a final job or where we are successful.
Yeah, thank you, Maika. Thank you on that. So next, I would like to hear from Narhari Shuman, sir. Sir, how to get into an organization like DRDO or any of the defense labs, or even remotely, linked up to the defense labs? Like you do have a lot of companies who work in collaboration with DRDO. So anything on that particular aspect?
Coming to joining into DRDO, only route is through GATE, ma'am. That's the thing. And coming to the private companies, earlier the defense projects were not given to private companies, but with the present government policies, many startups have been coming, ma'am. And apart from that, to name a few companies, big companies like Tata Advanced Systems, Tata Aerospace, Honeywell, these were all working for defense things. And one more thing is, as per the media reports, recently I got to know that some 100 UAVs sanction was given to a private company in a Bangalore-based startup. And to even in Hyderabad also, there is a private company called Skyroot involved in making of launch vehicle. In many companies will make a satellites, but coming to launch vehicle, one company is there. Even in Bangalore also, some 2-3 companies were there. Skyroot, got to know from their website, they have made the prototype, and in another 2 years they are making, and they're going to space with a launch vehicle like any other Jeff Bezos company. You can tell. That's all. There is definitely a billion-dollar market in the future, in coming years, and many even defense things also has been now made by private companies. I don't know exactly what are the companies. Sorry.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to hear from Chandra Babu, sir. Sir, what are the job opportunities which we have for the EIE industry, or the EIE engineers in the job market?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like, EIE engineers have plenty of opportunities because like all the product development companies needs their product to be tested. So, EIE engineers contribute a major role in testing the product, whether it is like PC level testing or functional testing. And I was like working all my 11 years in this domain. So if you take like different domains like aerospace, we need to test aircraft engines and lot of whatever things goes into cockpit we need to test. So the scope is like plenty. And if you take electrical domain, like UPS, uninterruptible power supplies, we need to test that products before releasing to the market. Then microwave fridges and all this. So I feel there is like plenty of opportunities. The thing is, like, one needs to be a continuous learner. Even while after getting the job also, one needs to learn and catch up with the evolving technologies. And obviously, of course, like not to say it, engineering also one needs to study hard and get the basics right. So it will be easy for her or him to perform better in the market. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Next, I would like to hear from Snigdha. Snigdha, what are the job opportunities in Germany since you are working over there, and especially how to get into a job in your company?
As I already told, there are quite a good number of job opportunities in Germany, be it in robotics field or automation field or even analog and digital circuit design field or control systems. You could say there are a lot of opportunities in measurements field also. Like there are so many companies which are developing interferometers or cryogenics or lab equipments itself for the students to learn. There are companies which develop such instruments where students can learn from these equipments. So for a person to grab a job here, definitely you should do a good. You should do good in your bachelor's, and what my suggestion would be uh, to not master one in your bachelor's level. Just learn as much as possible in all the subjects. Like for example, in our EIE field, we have so many subjects, including the virtual instrumentation, like my senior explained, and also robotics, and there are so many opportunities. You should not just learn software coding or even just instrumentation. You should it's always good to have a combination after bachelor's, and then decide what you have to land up in within 4 or 5 years. It should not be like a one shot. As soon as I finish my bachelor's, I want to be this, because the world is changing and you have to adapt to it. So you should keep learning, and definitely Germany is also a place where if you keep learning, you'll end up having multidisciplinary opportunities, also including biomedical field. And yeah, so
Thank you, Snigdha. Thank you for giving us a perspective on the jobs in Germany. So next, in the last, probably last question to all of you. So why do you suggest? I mean, there are a lot of parents and students who have logged in, looking at EIE, Electronics and Instrumentation, as a prospective branch. So what do you advise them from your perspective? So how do you advise the potential aspirants who are looking out for EIE? So what are your suggestions? I would like to hear starting from Suman sir.
As I have already mentioned, instrumentation is an omnipresent field, ma'am. We can work in any field. That is a prime thing. And for the students, especially, see, first thing is, we have to go through the entire curriculum of 4 years. See, don't neglect even some of the subjects. Why eigenvector? Why eigenvalue? And even why Range method? Don't do. See, definitely it will be helpful. Those things only will be fetching for you. Suppose if you want to excel better than someone else, you have to go through each and every field and study only standard textbooks which are in our thing. Don't go for high-tech publishers or local things. Standard textbooks. And one more important thing, what I want to tell you is, learn engineering mathematics and numerical methods thoroughly. Feel the engineering subjects even when you are studying signals and systems. See as a mathematician perspective than an engineer's perspective. Then you'll get a feel. And we should have a good proficiency of one computer language at least. That is for sure. And enjoy the subject while learning, while in the classroom itself. And some things, if I tell in Indian language, then only usko feel hata. But this is पढ़ाई पढ़ने के लिए पढ़ना बस, job के लिए नहीं. Definitely success check मार के आएगा. And every year in BTech, you guys try to implement one international paper. See, nowadays research means no hardware, nothing. Everything is a computer, one paper, pencil, that's sufficient. Am I correct? That's for sure. No? And you have to implement one international paper as a part of your curriculum. Whatever, take your choice. And that should be a standard international paper published in a reputed journals. Then you will get a better picture. And the last, earlier, from the world of analog to the, and conceptually one has to study, that is for sure. With all these things, if you study now, definitely success will come to your feet. And job also will definitely come. You need not go for job will come to you. The moment if you have got a good publications, the moment if you have got a research publications, job will definitely come to you. Don't go for a campus placement, these things. Oh, hey, don't even think of it. That's all. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
And
so let me go back to Balakrishna, sir. Sir, your perspective on EIE?
Yeah, as an entrepreneur, like if we see the significance of EIE in this present world, like what's going to the future, what there is general saying in this line, like what cannot be measured cannot be controlled. Like now, to increase the productivity, safety of any system, we need to measure, and we have to improvise that system. Where measurement is there, safety is there, improvement is there. There is definitely instrumentation, and their instrumentation plays the.
We lost your audio.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, we can hear you now.
Yeah. Like it's a very general field where regarding the job market, I don't know much because I have never done the proper job till yet. Regarding the entrepreneur journey, like there are so many significant applications which are coming in the present, where safety and quality of the system should be improved. As Chandrababu said, where testing is significant, instrumentation plays a very important role, where improvement requires, where this correction is required, where the process of the industry's process of the process has to be improved. Their instrumentation plays a very crucial role. So significance of instrumentation is more, and also as people said, nowadays multidisciplinary knowledge is must and should, where people have to learn multiple things, so that having a knowledge is very important in multidiscipline in this present world. So have a hand on all domains and a master in one domain. That's my suggestion.
Thank you, Balkrishna sir. So next, I would like to hear from Chandrababu sir. Sir, your opinion on taking up EAE.
Yeah, I will, stress on taking EIE at Vienna VJIT particularly, what are the good things which I felt. Like first thing is we have very like friendly faculty, so you can discuss any topic with them. Yeah, so it helped me a lot. And second thing, like advanced laboratories, like as I said, I'm still working on the same technology which I did project like 2009 in 2009, and then very good library facility. Like it's around from 8 a.m. to the morning, from 8 p.m. in the night. So we can do a lot of fantastic things in library. And as one of the panel members suggested, writing international paper. So it will be very easy. Like we have large collection of international journals in the library. So it will be easy to write a journal. And then like calm and peaceful campus. So these all things I think will be very helpful for an EAE aspirant to be successful in his or her life.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, Chandrababu sir. So next, I would like to proceed with Rajesh sir. So, sir, your perspective on taking up EIE branch for engineering.
So because it's about taking up the branch EIE, I consider that the student would be pursuing maybe completed his 12th or intermediate, to be precise. So at that point, I bring in my perspective. So I really loved physics. I wanted to do something around electronics as well. So I had the opportunities, and EIE was suiting perfectly with me. Electronics was the major aspect, and when I studied what I would read about instrumentation, so I chose EIE by choice. And when we talk about PNR VJIT, let me tell you, I work with multiple engineers, say from IITs to normal colleges, and I can say that I can vouch that VNR VJIT produces excellent engineers. I can say that because I work with all sorts of engineers over here, I can say that the kind of professors we have, the kind of faculty we have, they produce the best in class. So there are about say 20,000 or so people who appear for GATE examination. I'm particularly saying because let's consider that's the amount of students that definitely want to get into this direction. So of that, if of those people, I can vouch that VNR VJT can produce fabulous engineers. So, and to make it even more easier, like Mayuka ma'am has said, EIE people are jack of all trades and master of something definitely, if they definitely pursue in one direction. But let's say, because our EIE covers, say, programming, definitely, yes. And now that we have a hybrid curriculum, I was really happy when Panchana ma'am was presenting it. So what we are doing here is we are bridging the gap between what industry wants and what we already give. So we have programming, we definitely have the instrumentation perspective, and because we have 60% of the syllabus common with the EC or EEE, I can say that we are definitely eligible for whatever they are eligible. And this is also true when people are applying for MTech, whatever the specialization courses. Like even in MS, there is something called electrical engineering, which has 3 subjects. And similarly, say even in our MTech, not only in MS, even at MTech. So a person of EI background is eligible to apply or compete with a EEE person or an EC person. That should make clear, that should make things so much clear for a person of say intermediate or 12, that he should be like really happy about the branch. And as it can be seen from the panelists, how passionate we are all, and how happy we are with our branch. That's a sense of satisfaction. What else is needed? Money, things would definitely fall. Like Narahari Suman sir said, like learn what's there, things would fall into place. It's totally true. Like the kind of branch we deal with, the kind of satisfaction we get, it's amazing. So the young people and young engineers, aspiring engineers, I would definitely watch. EIE is something you would really love. Over to you, madam. Ma'am, you're not audible.
Yeah, I do hope that all of you, as Rajesh sir was telling, are passionate about electronics and instrumentation engineering, and your insights have really probably have helped all the parents and students who are watching this session about what are the job prospects or what are the future that lies ahead when they take electronics and instrumentation as a branch of engineering. So I would like to ask the parents who have joined in if they have any questions to put forth to the panelists, or if they want to get any of the things that to be clarified from their end. So I would like to ask the parents to please put your questions, because we do have excellent team on this panel discussion who can help you out. So if anyone would like to be interested in asking the question, please go ahead. You can unmute yourself and please put forth the question. So I think Nikhil was asking, Nikhil has raised his hand previously to ask a question. Nikhil, would you like to ask something? Okay, so if anyone wants to ask the question, please go ahead. Or else I'll just like to close it with Mayuka and Snigdha. So your perspective, Mayuka. First, let me go with you.
So perspective as in, are you asking me what I would suggest to future aspirants?
Yes.
In the field of instrumentation. So I have just few suggestions. Honestly, all the 4 years, like Suman sir said, it is extremely important. Just focus on the curriculum, but do pay attention to the course, the electives that we're choosing or we're being offered in the 3rd and 4th years, because that will definitely play a role in deciding the field that we would like to work in. That will be the driving force. So, and of course, it's not just the curriculum, the theory, but like Snigdha and Chandra pointed out, it is more important to also focus on the labs, because that's what is giving us the practical exposure to all the theoretical concepts. No matter how boring it might seem, how boring it might or redundant it might be to write down the theory, the conclusion, the record writing, or the experiments, stick to the plan. Because I can assure you that that exposure by itself will play a major role if you're pursuing masters, or be it in the job industry by itself. Because I couldn't thank our faculty enough for stressing on the lab sessions, because when I came into masters, I don't think I would have known how a signal would have looked on an oscilloscope when the professor just threw me in front of it. Or I wouldn't have known what to do at my work life in a simulator had I not known how calibrations work. So that exposure is what helps. And rightly so, as Rajesh and Suman sir still pointed out, was that job will come on its own. Just have fun with the subject knowledge and with what we're doing. You'll be most satisfied in life and happy with what we do, rather than just go on to a 9 to 5, finish the work, come back home just for the payment. You'll have fun even at work. And I use the subjects that I'm currently having in doing house projects. Who would have imagined I would use engineering drawing to draw out my roof, to do lighting on my roof and DIY it here? So I wouldn't have even thought about it. That was one of our COVID projects. So just have fun with it, and it'll follow. And it's not just about academics. We're not promoting anything here. It's about our experiences. And where it's about not only the faculty, the fun, or the classes that we are taking. It's also the background fun that we have. And I can assure you for that, I found my life partner at VNR. So even the fun and the background, the paperwork, the extra, the cultural events or the technical cultural events, all of those will all play a role in what you become going out into the real world. All that will be a driving force. So just have fun, and we'd be more than happy if we've inspired you to take up instrumentation.
Thank you, Mayuka. Thank you for that very, light-hearted moments which you have given us as part of this explanation. So next, I would like to hear last from Snigdha also on this particular thing. Snigdha, so what do you think about EIE? So what do you say to the aspirants who are looking at EIE?
Because I'm the last one, I want to thank everyone on the panel. I feel honored to talk along you all. So EIE aspirants, I would really want to focus on why EIE at VNR VJIT. Because the curriculum itself, the structure of the program, students not only gain their theoretical knowledge but also practical experience. Actually, all my points are covered by my previous panel members, but I would like to add one more point, which Suman sir has told. Don't ignore any subject. We do have subjects in management also, which help me in my in shaping my future, because I'm starting my MBA this year, and I did mention that I've done that in my bachelor's. So that experience of taking those two subjects in my bachelor's also helped me to aim at my 2 years MBA program, which I'm going to pursue from this year onwards. So I would say this department of EIE has designed in such a way that you can just close your eyes, relate to your bachelor's for next 10 to 15 years of your career, and then settle in what you really like to do for your life.
Yeah.
So I would say all the best to all the parents and students who are planning to take, and we would feel that our job is done if at least some of you are inspired to take up EIE at VNR.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Snigdha. And I would like to thank all the panelists who have joined us today for this session. It indeed had been a very longest session which I have conducted across all the branches, because the thing is that everyone is passionate here, especially starting from the head of the department and to all the panelists who have been on board for this panel discussion, to give clearly an insight into the branch perspective. And I do hope that the parents would like to listen to the recording also, which will be available on the YouTube channel. So if any parents have their doubts, you can please put forth your questions to the panelists or to me, or whatever you want to ask, so that we can wrap up this session, because we have taken their valuable time, and some of them have also joined us out of time zones also. So we'll just like to first of all thank from our end also, from the VNR Vignan Jyoti Institute of Engineering and Technology, that they have come back to us and they have shared their experiences with us. And as you are telling, even if a few students do get motivated by these experiences, what they have shared today, so I do think that it has helped the purpose of what we have started with for this panel discussions. Thank you all. Thank you for joining this session. I thank Manjula Shri Madam, head of the department, who has lended us a lot of support. And also I'd like to thank Hari Krishna sir and Vandana Madam, whose immense support had been there right from the beginning related to the branch perspective. They happen to be the department's box also. And from the admission point of view, so I would say that if any of the parents are not able to ask the questions today, they can just put forth their inquiries to eiadmissions@vnrvjit.in, so that you can get an answer from the faculty also related to any doubts which you have related to the branch. And also we do have a virtual connect wherein you can directly link up with the faculty through a Google Meet. So you can just request for their time, and they would schedule a meet with you on a personal basis, on a one-to-one basis, so that you can get your doubts clarified. Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you for the very good session which we had, and I thank for the entire team of EIE also, who have been working in the background for this session to happen. Thank you, and thank you all for joining us.
Yeah,
Thank you
for
all.
having-
There are so many alumni here behind the meet. Raghavendra, Nikhil, I saw many more, Navaneet. So thank you for seeing you like here. Thank you for joining the meet. And I thank a lot to all the panel members who have joined at different time zones. Thank you.
Thanks for having us, and thanks for having us. And it's very well coordinated, and I appreciate your coordination and background efforts which you have put forward for this session. Thank you.
And thank you for seeing each other's face probably after so many years. It feels so nice. It's nostalgic.
Thank you all. Yeah, it's a pleasure from my side to join, and I have learned many new things from other panel members. So yeah, it's yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you so much for the invitation.